is KMJ at KMJNow.com or wherever you stream. Welcome to the Marc Kapetan Show. This is attorney Marc Kapetan, your host. Today's show is brought to you by the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm. We've been serving the Central Valley since 1995. If you or anybody you know has been injured in an auto accident, a truck accident, or a motorcycle accident, give the Kapetan Brothers a call at 559-498-8000. Or if you've been arrested or cited for a criminal offense, call the Kapetan Brothers at 559-498-8000. Kapetan Brothers, 559-498-8000. We're the Valley's law firm. Folks, 50 years old, reaching 50 was a milestone for me. And to celebrate, my buddy Frank Arnold invited me to John's Bear Club in Sanger. And I've become friends now with, John's Bear Club, John out there in Sanger?
Quite well.
Okay.
Known him for a long time.
Okay. John Kapetan, great guy. And he's become a wonderful friend. We rented a limousine. We had families and friends, Frank Arnold and his wife, Carmen, my judo buddy, Richard E. Moore, that I've talked about on the show. The late, great friend of mine, may his memory be eternal, Paul Smokin' Joe Turner, we used to call him, and the whole family, the whole Kapetans, everybody. But I insisted that night, as part of the great night, that we stop for drinks and appetizers at what is likely the coolest destination in Fresno County. It's called the Schoolhouse Restaurant and Tavern in Sanger. It's on the 180 towards Kings Canyon. I had been there a few times before, and I couldn't wait to show my families and friends this great venue. Fresno has its share of fine dining, but the Schoolhouse is a gem of a venue compared to most strip mall and shopping center locations of most eateries here in town. Now, I don't want to discount those locations at all, but the guts and vision of my next two guests have to be commended. This husband and wife team saw what was once a rundown old brick schoolhouse that it was established as a restaurant that we could talk about prior to this in virtually the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's not a town around there for maybe 10 miles or whatever. And they successfully turned it into a profitable destination for diners who come from all parts of California and, quite honestly, all parts of the world. So to find out all about how they did it, I'd like to welcome to the Marc Kapetan Show from the Schoolhouse Restaurant and Tavern in Sanger, California, Chef Ryan and Michelle Jackson. Welcome, guys.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks for having us. What an intro.
You like the intro?
I'm blushing.
You were wondering if I had ever been to the restaurant. Are you kidding me? I love it.
Well, and quite honestly, I'd like to interject and say it wasn't exclusively us. We do have partners as well who had a much bigger role, I think, certainly I can't take credit for.
No, they had the vision to, I guess, reach out to me and maybe lure me back. But our partners had purchased the building.
Yeah.
And called me out to just come take a look at it and see if we could turn it into a restaurant to see what we could do.
It lured you back from this is Ryan, folks. It lured you back from where?
We were up in the Bay Area at the time, so I spent my career in San Francisco, Napa Valley, and then towards the end, right before I came back, in the East Bay Area. Yeah. And so I was working up there, and a longtime family friend, the Brooks family, best friends with my parents,
right,
growing up from high school, and so I mean they've known me longer than I've known them. So they lured you back though to your hometown of Reedley. It was not, Michelle, your hometown. In fact, I don't know how Ryan and must be love, because you came from where?
Yeah, I'm born in Newport Beach, raised in Irvine, but I didn't go away to college and do that whole going away to college thing. Yeah. So instead, I was on a professional trajectory. And so I got a promotion with the company that took me all through the Bay Area, and I had landed in Walnut Creek for a minute.
Yeah.
And that's how our paths ultimately crossed. And then, the heart wants what the heart wants. I didn't realize I was falling in love with somebody from this really small town in Central California. So, why couldn't he be from like Aspen or Hawaii or, France for that matter? But,
was it the cooking that you fell in love with too?
Well, no, actually, I hired him as an employee for me.
Oh, what were you doing?
Yeah. So I was managing a subsidiary company of Viking Range Corporation. The appliance. So they had.
By the way, I have Viking. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Excellent.
So they had these cooking schools, essentially a direct competitor of like the Sur La Tables that have the cooking school and then the retail store. So that it was called Viking Home Chef. So I was managing the Walnut Creek location, and so we had cooking classes 7 days a week, twice a day, and so it was like the business model was like a 50-50 thing. So he came in to buy a tool that he needed because you tell the story. How we met. It's a cute story, but he tells
believe me, I heard Marcella says, ask him about the cute story.
Okay. It really
cute
is.
Story. Yeah, so I was working at Domaine Chandon up in Yountville. And so I was working the fish saute station at the time, and I had to come back to San Francisco where I went to culinary school and pick up a document or something like that. And my sister at the time lived in Walnut Creek. My mom happened to be in town. We scheduled it to where I was going to come in and have lunch with my sister. And so we were killing time, my mom and I, and we walked by this looked like kitchen supply store.
Right.
And I walked in there to go get a fish spatula. And of course my mom, she talks to everyone for hours, and started talking to one of the sales associates, and they convinced me that I needed another job and I needed to teach classes there. And I was 6 months out of culinary school, and the guy says, oh, great discounts, this and that, and it's like, you need to apply here and do this.
Really?
So, just to appease my mom and get them to stop talking.
Did they, to appease your mom, that the guy, did they know that you had gone to, because you went to a really prestigious school too, right?
Yeah, California Culinary Academy.
So, and when he heard that, he said, hey, I want you right sight unseen?
He was just an associate, and he knew they had a cooking school, and he's like, wow, you're trained, you work in this place in Yountville, and he said, you could teach classes here. And I'm like, I don't really want to.
Right.
I have a full-time job that's an hour away.
The place you worked in Yountville, though, it wasn't any regular old place. You were at Domaine Chandon, was it?
Yeah, it was the restaurant at Domaine Chandon is what it was called.
Which is,
then.
Folks, the champagnes and everything's similar, related to the champagne company, right?
Yeah, and worked under a Michelin star chef, Robert Curry, who's... Right. He's up at Auberge du Soleil now. He's been there for almost 20 years.
Yeah. So even with the 6 months of experience, they saw that you had chops, basically.
That's what they thought. Yeah, that's what they thought.
It was just a very loose conversation with the sales associate, and he's like, oh, you're in the industry. You should apply to work, teach some classes.
And you're like, Mom, let's go. And what happens?
Yeah, so then it was, so they convinced me, and I thought, just to get him quiet, I said, okay, he said, go ask our general manager for an application over there. And said, so I said, excuse me, are you Michelle? And she turned around, and that was it after that.
It's like, Chef Curry, I quit.
No, I still work there. I worked 2 jobs for a while where I would go work a 12-hour day at Chandon, and then I would get off and change real quick and drive to Walnut Creek, and then do it all again.
From our brief interaction before the show started, I think I know the answer, but who asked who out?
That's interesting.
Oh, you think you know the answer? That's so funny that you're in tune to that. Yeah. So then my perspective of this. So he fills out the application. I just kind of loosely vet him for like what he could potentially do in
which he still does today, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Because I was like, well, normally people that were applying for to teach classes were second career, midlife second career people.
Yeah.
And he did not fit that profile. So I was extremely confused why he wanted to drive an hour after working, 60 hours a week.
Okay.
And I was extremely confused, but he definitely would give credibility to our brand to have him on the sales floor selling stuff. So I'm like, sure, you're hired.
Absolutely. And we're going to find out who asked who right after this. We call this a cliffhanger, folks, on the Marc Kapetan Show. We are on with Ryan and Michelle Jackson from the Schoolhouse Restaurant and talking all about their love life. We'll be right back. This is Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ. This is KMJ. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. Folks, as you know, because you are loyal KMJ fans, you can check out all the shows on KMJ at the KMJnow.com on the web or on the app, KMJ app. Go to your Apple phone or whatever your phone is and get that app. I actually use it. I use it all the time, Marcella. I really do. Folks, Marc Kapetan Show, you could also check us out streaming on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you want to see video of this lovely couple and find out how they got together, go to the video and send it to a friend. Subscribe. Smash that like button, as the kids like to say. Smash that like button. We are on with Ryan and Michelle Jackson from the Schoolhouse Restaurant out there in Sanger. Great restaurant. Folks, do yourselves a favor and go out to the Schoolhouse. Uber it out there, however you want to do it. But it's a great restaurant to go to. All right, Michelle, we were right in the middle, and we were going to find out who asked who. Your husband, future husband, is now working for you at the Viking school, basically teaching cooking. And eventually this buds into a relationship. So, all right, tell me. So go ahead with your story.
You were about the quality of salesperson I was, though, at this gig that I had.
It was so funny. It was only one day a week, and he would clock in when I was leaving, so we never actually interacted. Even though the whole point of him, according to him, the only reason he took the job was to get to know me.
Right.
And I was perplexed the whole time why he was working there. And then I got fast forward 3 months into him working. We did finally work a shift together for some reason, and we started having more conversation, and then, I don't know, you tell the rest of it.
Yeah, so I was the worst salesperson. I didn't know when I got there that I was applying to sell like kitchen gadgets and things like that.
You thought you were really going to teach the world to cook, right?
Like tools, that are to make your life easier in your home kitchen, and people would ask me questions, and I'd say, "You don't need that. You just need a knife." Okay. Or you don't need this vacuum marinator thing. Yeah. You can do it with this. And
you don't need a cherry pitter.
I would talk people actually out of a sale. So I wasn't a very good salesman in that regard. But yeah, I mean, as far as who asked someone out, it was the night before my sister's wedding. So I had to be in Walnut Creek for my sister's rehearsal dinner, and I stopped by the store. This was already after I'd worked there for about 3 months, and I stopped by the store and made up some excuse that I needed some other piece of equipment that I needed to buy. And she asked what I was doing in town, and I said, it's my sister's rehearsal dinner tonight. I just stopped by to grab something really quick, and I walked around the store, and she kind of followed me around. And she asked me again, she's like, so what are you doing? What are you doing here? That's my sister's rehearsal dinner, and the wedding's tomorrow. And we walk around the store a little bit more, and then she said it again, and she's like, well, what are you doing tomorrow? I'm like,
oh, wow.
My sister's getting married tomorrow. It's a rehearsal dinner.
I hate this.
And I said, why do you ask? And she says, well, I was wondering if you're not busy, if you may want to show me around Napa and show me where you work.
Okay, let me ask you, were you going to ask her out to your sister's wedding, or you were really going to pick up a piece of equipment?
I was. I was actually going to ask her out.
No, you weren't.
Yes, I was. Yeah, I was.
That's a good question, Mark, because that's interesting.
Yeah.
We've been together over 20 years.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
it sounds like
one of the line cooks I worked with, his name was Dave Haynes.
Yeah.
He's like, he said, if you don't do this today, we're not friends anymore.
Get it handled.
No kidding.
Get it handled.
No, I think he said handle it.
Handle
it. And so you sort of, believe me, women are much smarter at this, coming from the 60-year-old bachelor, right? Women are much smarter at this. You sort of understood, this guy's trying to ask me out, Michelle, and...
No.
No? So you were oblivious to it too?
He's 5.5 years younger than me. So at that time, I think I was, 29?
You vixen, you.
I think I was 29 at the time, and I'm just like, he's just this, he's a young kid. Like, I was almost dismissive and like didn't really take him seriously. I was like, he's an employee, like, so I was ignoring my emotions of it.
Wait a minute. Yeah, he was your employee.
Correct.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the first date that you're going to ask this lovely young lady out on, older woman out on, is your sister's wedding. So boom, you're introduced to the whole family right away. Did you go to the wedding?
No, I didn't go to the wedding.
Oh, okay, you didn't.
No.
Okay,
no.
Okay. So that was just the excuse to be in town, and you're going to go see her.
Yeah. So it was the day after the wedding.
After the wedding, we did wine tasting at Domaine Chandon and did some other stuff. We had our first dinner date that night, and Chef Robert Curry cooked for us, and it still to this day is one of the most memorable experiences ever.
Yeah, but listen, he was taking you to his to his place, and he's going to show you how cool he is, right?
Yep.
And introduce you to the top chef and everything.
Yeah, so we ended up living in Napa Valley for over 10 years doing that whole scene. Yeah, before Kelly and Connie had approached your parents about relocating back to the Valley. And we had already been considering wanting to come back to the area. With our kids were young. Yeah. We didn't have family where we were, so we were already considering that, and this was just the perfect opportunity for us to do our own thing.
I mean, listen, my dad came to us and he said, "Hey kids, we're moving back to where your mom's family is," and we were living in San Diego at the time. I remember the big gulp that I took and the jaw dropping, going, "Oh my God, we're going to be 2 hours away from everything, or 3 hours away from everything." You didn't have that fear, like, I'm going to Reedley?
No, because we weren't going to Reedley.
Oh, no.
And there's nothing to slight Reedley. It's just not.
That's
anything.
Very nice of you to say. I get it. Yes, I get it.
It's not. It's just. I am an only child. He is one of 5. His whole family is rooted in Reedley, and 2 of his 4 sisters are here, and then 2 are in the Bay Area. Yeah. So I really didn't have any roots tying me anywhere, hence why I was up all around the Bay Area before he and I met anyway. So I was fine with the idea of that. All right, let's go and move closer to home for him while our kids are young. We'll get them grown, and we'll do this project together. Like, we didn't know how long the restaurant was going to thrive, and he's so good at what he does. We're now over 13 years later. Here we are.
Yeah. Listen. I would go to court in Reedley all the time, and it was a lovely little city. It's just, but it's just got to be hard coming from all these big cities and moving to this small little quaint little town. Yeah.
Don't kid yourself. When retirement is upon us, it's going to be role reversal. He's going back to the coast with me, whether he likes it or not.
Well, take me with you, because I could use the cool weather of the coast. All right, so you get this idea. Somebody, these family friends, basically say, we're buying this building and we need a chef. They want to open up a restaurant too, basically.
Not necessarily. They didn't know what they wanted to do with it. So investment property, nostalgia. My partner in the business, dad went to school there. I grew up driving by that building all the time. I ate there once, when I was a junior in high school.
Sherwood Forest, right?
Yeah.
Steakhouse.
So I grew up in Reedley, so I'd drive right by it every day going to golf practice or going out to the golf course out there. So, what's in that thing? And I never knew it. Ate there one time when I was a junior in high school, and that was it. So he purchased the building, had dinner with my parents, told my parents about it, and he said, "Do you think we could call Ryan and see what he thinks about coming down and taking a look at it, just to see what we do?" And I think I came down twice, once or twice, and I said, "Yeah, it's going to take a lot of work, and here's what we could do." I think Fresno is ready for what I know how to do. And,
I think that's the next question I want to ask is how much work it did take to get into this whole thing, but we have to do it right after this next break. This is Ryan and Michelle Jackson from the Schoolhouse Restaurant in Sanger, all on the Marc Kapetan Show. We'll be right back after this. This is KMJ. This is KMJ at KMJnow.com or wherever you stream. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. Folks, you know, I'm going to pop this music down. You know all about the Kapetan brothers. We've been around for ages and ages and ages, Kapetan Brothers Law Firm. But what I want you to understand is if you've been in an accident, I get it. I am a full practicing attorney. In fact, our guests here today, Ryan and Michelle Jackson from the Schoolhouse Restaurant, they asked, so do you still practice? Yes, I still practice every single day. I was in Merced yesterday. Had, by the way, really successful result on a case there. But if you've been in an accident, call me. Call my brother Peter. Call the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm at 559-498-8000. I know you're hurt, you're injured, or you may have a family friend or a relative that's been injured in an auto accident. We've done this for 30 plus years, and we'll answer your questions, we'll ease your concerns. It's just a simple phone call for a free consultation. So please take advantage of us. Do yourself a favor and do us a favor. We'd appreciate the business. 559-498-8000. All right. Michelle and Ryan Jackson from Chef Ryan do you cook also, Michelle?
I do.
Do you really?
I cook because he's at work most of the time, so I cook. So then when he is home, I cook because he doesn't want to.
Yes, absolutely. How's the cooking, Ryan? Do we say?
Great. Yeah. So when she was at that former employer she spoke about earlier, Viking Home Chef, she started in the cooking school program.
Yeah.
And so learned the foundations, and then living with me and being willing to accept critique and feedback and learning technique. She just evolved, and she knows how to put things together better than a lot of cooks that I've had. You also learned, from what I understand from I had a yaya, and by the way, have you watched this movie Nona's?
Mm-mm.
No.
Oh, Marcella, you saw it? It's good. Yeah. It's a quaint little cute little thing about it's a true story about a guy who opens a restaurant using grandmothers as his chefs because he missed his grandmother's cooking. And I remember I would see her do a pinch of this, a handful of this, and in the movie they sort of explain it. Well, Grandma, how do you know how much to put in? Well, it's all about love. I do the same thing when I cook. Same thing with you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the thing with us, it's I don't know, the way I evolved as a chef, it was I really wanted to figure out the science behind a lot of what was happening. So I focused on what ingredients actually did to the food. Yeah. And I recognized that they were all, sweets, salts, acids, fats, textures, temperatures, all kinds of different things. We like to call them 12 components that go into a dish. Okay. We think about all those things. So when Michelle was learning how to cook, it would be something's missing. And if you raise the question of, well, is it acid? Does it need acid to bump up flavor? Or it's like, maybe it needs more salt. And I'd say, well, maybe it doesn't need more salt. Maybe it needs more acid to bring out the salt that you already have.
Oh, see, I didn't know that was part of it.
So if it's
so you would talk in, I hate to put it this way, scientific terms, but that's because you've learned this whole new language about the art of cooking.
Yeah, it was because you've all had that thought of like, what does it need? It needs something, and you might think it needs another ingredient of some kind, or another spice of some kind, or another flavor of some kind. But it could just be it's out of balance and it needs a sweet, salt, fat, or acid. Did your intuitions change, to whether it's you, Michelle, or Ryan, as far as cooking is concerned? Did your intuitions change, or is it still, I have that same intuition, I have that same sense of taste? It's just now I could quantify it in a more appropriate terminology, basically. Yeah, definitely. It's the same. It's the same
daily
approach.
Practice. Anything we make, that we ask those same questions. And our kids now are 21 and 17, and so they've learned this technique as well. And so, like our daughter, if she's making, say, guacamole, 'cause she likes to make, fresh guacamole. And so that's she knows to say, well, what does it need? Does it need more acid? Does it need more salt? What is it missing? Like, so they get it.
See, I get it, but to a Greek, it's either you need more salt or more lemon, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But usually it is that simple.
There you go. More lemon.
And it's funny because God, I've never thought of it this way. When I would cook, you would sit there and say, God, what does it need? And obviously you could tell the pepper. It's easy for a person to tell whether it's too peppery or not or something like that. But that whole thing of whether it needs more flavor, we would say generally, you would sit there and go, God, should I put more salt or more lemon juice? And it sort of has that same effect. You're saying the introduction of acid helps the salt content or the flavor content, basically.
Yeah, it brings out flavors. So so salt and acids, and I mean it can even be different acids. The whole needs more lemon. We would think that at times, for certain dishes, and there could be lemon in a certain part of the dish, but if you just add more lemon, then it's kind of redundant, and it becomes sort of monotonous eating. So if you add, say, a red vinegar instead to a different part of the dish, it bumps it up in a different way.
Well, I'm Greek, and you can never have too much lemon in your dish. Okay, go ahead.
Well, and we could go down a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah, I think we just did.
But back to the purpose of what we're talking about is that the philosophy, the whole culinary approach that he has to every single menu item is structured to take a bite of something on your palate, and the flavor components just keep building, the flavor components keep developing. And as he says, usually, well, why does it taste that good? What is it about that makes me want to keep going back for another bite? And, first of all, it starts with not ever cutting corners. And we make everything. We're Scratch Kitchen. We make everything.
Yeah, I had never seen that term. I saw Scratch Kitchen, and like you're grinding your own meat, you're making your own consommes and everything, huh?
Yeah.
Like we make
all the way from ketchup to mayonnaise.
He makes the kitchen. We make our own ground pepper.
Right.
Most restaurants buy ground pepper from a Cisco and food service company.
Right.
Like he actually has a prep cook make our own ground pepper.
Make our own garlic salt.
You're toasting the peppercorns and all that kind of stuff.
The whole thing.
Make our own garlic salt.
If you do a side-by-side taste comparison of fresh ground pepper versus, it's night and day. So you use that to actually season what you're cooking.
Yeah.
And he makes his own garlic. I mean, we could just go on and on.
No Cisco products in the whole place.
Well, no, I'm teasing. The commodities, of course.
There's a few.
I'll tell you, I can't do it. I have to use ground pepper. I can't do anything with.
See, you get it.
Yeah, I love it. And my sister-in-law just made a cacio de pepe. In fact, Christy, if you're out there, I had some down in Cabo. I asked him to make it, and I said, I need to see if you make it better than my sister-in-law. Well, sheepishly, the guy, I told the guy, not quite as good as my sister-in-law, but okay. Yeah. So, and that was part of it, is toasting the peppercorns ahead of time that my sister-in-law did. So, yeah, I get it. The freshness of the fruit was also another component for you, because your family grew up. You're a Reedley guy. Mom and Dad did what?
Reedley guy. Mom grew up in Orange Cove, so mom's side of the family. Fruit farmers for years. Gosh, I don't even know when they started. Back in the 40s, 50s, maybe. Still doing it today. Nicholas Family Farm, still doing organic juices out of Orange Cove. But yeah, I grew up in a packing house and working in fields and knowing when food was ready to eat. And
there's something to that. My cousins in Chicago will have a strawberry and they'll go, "Oh, this is the greatest strawberry I ever had." And I'm like, you have no idea what a real strawberry tastes like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not even close. So peaches coming off the tree when they're ready, and eating them when they come off the tree because they're ready. That's what I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I mean, even when I was in Napa, they would try and sell me peaches from Reedley,
right?
that were intentionally picked early to ship and hold in cold storage, because things just evolved and they changed. That farmers had to pick stuff early now and underripe, and let them ripen, on the windowsill or whatever they do, and they're just letting them rot.
Mom and Dad, for you, Michelle, what kind of background did you come up with?
Nothing worth discussing.
Nothing worth discussing.
nothing bad.
You're fully entrenched in the Jackson.
100%. Yeah,
history,
I don't have any. I don't have really any interesting Really? Yeah. No. It's all about the Jackson.
Yeah. Listen. Okay. Real quick, and then we're going to go to a break. 18. What the schoolhouse is from? What year?
Opened as a school in 1925.
Okay.
So the plans on the wall were 1921. So they drew up those plans that we have hanging in the hallway in 1921, and it opened in 1925 and ran until 1958.
Oh, it closed that long ago, though.
Mm-hmm.
And when you guys got it, was it in need of much repair?
It'd been closed for almost 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, close to. It was pretty abandoned and run down, and we tore a lot of things out and took it back to not quite a shell, but to where it resembled a school again.
Yeah, Michelle, you had never seen it before, right?
I had never, not being from here. No. So over
was
the
it just like?
It was
obviously this is the place.
No, not even. No.
Oh, really?
No. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is the big man that was climbing through the center of the dining room.
Oh, see, I don't remember that.
Terrifying, actually.
Oh, really? Oh, I got to get Marcella find pictures of that. Okay, but I mean, to me, we're going to go to a break, but to me, it's like finding a castle and saying, I want to put my restaurant in the castle. It's a destination. It's beautiful. All right, we're going to be right back with Michelle and Ryan Jackson from the Schoolhouse Restaurant in Sanger Country, as Michelle likes to call it. All right, we'll be right back after this on the Marc Kapetan Show. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. We are on with Michelle and Ryan Jackson from the Schoolhouse Restaurant. Come on, Michelle, you're going to give me your best pitch for the Schoolhouse Restaurant. All right.
Oh my goodness, no pressure. Well, shoot. You're putting me on
from the woman who's nonstop talking the whole time. I even warned you I'm going to have you give me a pitch.
I know, and you put me on the spot.
Ready, ladies and gentlemen, the Schoolhouse Restaurant, probably one of the most fantastic destinations you could have for dinner with your loved one, your special woman out there, your special guy out there. The freshest ingredients, handmade by Chef Ryan Jackson. And his staff there. They do great stuff. Go to the tavern for some specialty drinks. Have the luscious meatloaf that's out there, right? You have a sauce that takes, 4 days to make, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things that take multiple days to make.
Yeah. Do what I did. Take a limousine, go out to the Schoolhouse Restaurant in Sanger Country. Schoolhouse Restaurant. What's the address there?
1019 South Frankwood Avenue in Sanger address. On the corner of 180 and Frankwood Avenue. You literally can see our building off the freeway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's really just a short drive from, as long as you can get access to the 180. Once you're on the 180, it's about 25 minutes max, even from North Fresno area.
Hey, by the way, did that expansion of the freeway help you guys or what?
Absolutely.
Man?
Yeah. Absolutely.
The scariest part is now I almost... I hate to say it because I've missed what I thought was the turnoff because there's no longer that turn that there used to be.
Yeah, it's literally a right-hand turn onto Franklin Avenue. Yeah. But, you bring up a good point. We've got our main dining room if you're in the mood to dine. We've got the tavern area with flat-screen TVs, and we do live music, acoustic-style music every Thursday night from 5 to 7. First Friday of every month, we have more lively bands that play from 7 to 11 p.m. We also host events. We have indoor-outdoor capability for up to 250 guests. So we do
weddings and all that stuff. Right.
Milestone birthdays, of course, graduations, of course, retirements from teachers, retiring. So Schoolhouse is kind of like the perfect spot.
Unfortunately, I'm running out of milestone birthdays, Marcella. So I don't have many of those milestones left. Okay, some of the menu items. Give me the favorite that a person should try besides the meatloaf.
That's our signature. It's been on the menu for 13 years, and I don't know, Ryan, it hasn't changed at all, really.
No, meatloaf hasn't changed, and that's been at least 15, 16, 17.
Wagyu beef, right?
Not in the meatloaf. That's in our burgers.
Okay.
So we have Wagyu beef burger.
Yeah.
But our meatloaf, CAB ground beef, make our own sausage, short ribs go into it.
Yeah.
Of course,
into the meatloaf.
Yeah,
short
of course.
rib.
There's meatloaf and there's ketchup and meatloaf, which we have to make our own ketchup because that's what
I understand. You make your own ketchup. I don't know. Can you beat Heinz? I mean, come on. I mean, I hate to say it, but there's something. If you do a
side by side, we can.
Side by side, it's completely different. Side by side, you'll see the balance in the sweet salt acids of our ketchup compared to the over sugar that America loves.
You know what? You know what? I think you should bring your show on the road, and you should come out to the restaurant, and we'll do a whole culinary teachings.
Listen, I'll tell you what. If you let me sit and play around on the chef's grill top over there, I'd love to do it. Yeah.
We'll take any help. Yeah.
You'll take help. Oh, so I'm working for free for it. So.
Right?
There's plenty of parsley to pick. Okay. There's plenty of parsley to pick. But but I do want to mention that it's not we're a contemporary approach on classic favorites. Throwback. So that's why we have meatloaf, and so but we're new Americans. So
it's familiarity, basically.
It is,
that
in a lot of the dishes. I mean, we do steak nachos on our tavern menu that are like nothing you've ever experienced, and we've got signature burgers. So we do have, a scale, a range of you can have fully composed, sometimes scallop entrees that are just gorgeous to a burger. I mean, we've got it all. Whatever your mood is,
you're taking that Americana, but you're taking Domaine Chandon type, level of,
it's those techniques.
Yeah.
It's those techniques that are translated to everyday, food.
Okay.
I mean, it's an approachable.
The most important question: do you guys still have the little barrel chairs inside the tavern there?
Oh my gosh,
we have 6 of them.
I love those. If you ever sell them, I'm going to take them.
I love. How many did we start with? And we're down to 6.
The rest of them have actually started falling apart.
What do you mean? They fell apart.
Yeah, they started.
So they're made out of what? Wine barrels?
Mm-hmm. Literally.
Yeah.
It's so great. You got to find a place. There's a barrel making company here in the valley.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
It's
so kitschy.
They're quite dense, they have a mind of their own.
They're heavier than crap, is what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Completely.
Yeah.
They are definitely made very well.
And not the most comfortable, but 2025 standards of what people want.
That's funny. Yeah. And how? Where did the train? Isn't there like little train tables?
Train car booths.
What is that?
And those are most
it came from
requested.
the original restaurant, I believe. Well, not the original. Maybe it was.
I didn't know if it was somewhere.
I think it was called Border Town. So one side of the building was a Mexican restaurant, and the other side of the building was like a Western style chuck wagon steakhouse. So that's why you still see wagon wheels and the old train car. But the other side, where our tavern is now, I think that was.
I didn't know that's what that was all about.
I believe that's the story that it was. It was actually 2 different styles of restaurant.
Okay, so you want me to go out there and do a radio show, but I understand you used to be.
No, I want to feed you.
You want to feed me?
And then you can do a radio show.
Okay, yeah, I'll do it. We'll do it at the same time. you used to be on the restaurateurs.
Yes.
You were one of the. Guys like Dave Fansler and Mike Sherini. How fun was that doing that?
We loved it. It was our date hour.
That's what you're saying. It was your date hour.
Yeah, I loved it because this is right now. It's a very mindful chunk of time where we are talking about us and what we're doing, and we love working together. So
you said before we came on, you said, "Honey, let's hold hands to show everybody how in love we are." But it is very evident. But it's got to be a struggle doing that and running probably one of the hardest, most stressful things a person could run, and that's a restaurant, right?
Yes. But it works for us. He's got expertise that I know nothing about, and in some areas, not too much, and vice versa. Whereas, what is it you like to say?
I do everything she doesn't want to do, and she does everything I don't want to do.
Honestly, it's great. My sister-in-law, my brother Peter would sit at home by himself watching sports all day long, and they've been around the world because of that type of relationship. Yeah, it's great. So,
okay, Mark, I have a question for you.
Okay, with
how much
30
time?
seconds left.
Okay. I want to know what your favorite food is.
My favorite food?
Like your everyday, like if you have what is it you crave? Like what's
if I am ever on death row, it's so what you're asking, it's spaghetti and meatballs. Yeah, love
Pizza and ranch.
Yours is pizza and ranch. The chef from Domaine Chandon.
Yeah,
Yours,
and
Michelle?
there's a philosophy. There's a philosophy for it.
No, there is no philosophy for ranch.
Well, no. There's a philosophy for why it's pizza.
Yeah, okay.
So we need to tell you about that.
Okay, next time they're on the show, okay? We'll do it as a bonus. Check out the Marc Kapetan bonus track on YouTube.
To be continued.
To be continued. This is KMJ. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Marcella. Hey, folks. Hi out there in YouTube land and Facebook land and all that kind of stuff. We're doing a bonus with Ryan and Michelle Jackson from the Schoolhouse Restaurant. Michelle, as we close the show on KMJ at 15. No, what is it? I see. Now I'm really in trouble at KMJnow.com or wherever you stream. Or you could go back to the old airwaves, but the show's already over and done with. So Michelle asked me my favorite food. I like to put it in terms of if I'm on death row, what's my last meal? And it's spaghetti and meatballs. Ryan and Michelle both say pizza with ranch, which I think ranch is totally out of the question on pizza.
Not if it's made right.
Okay. If it's made right from scratch. Hey, the Schoolhouse Restaurant, everything's fresh from scratch. And
100%.
Go out there in Sanger country on 180 and Franklin Road, and you could check out the Schoolhouse. Frankwood Avenue, and you could check out the Schoolhouse Restaurant. Okay. So you were going to say there's a reason behind this.
There's a method to the madness, and this is kind of like an inner working of Ryan's brain. But I'll have him elaborate. But essentially, it just checks all the boxes for so many reasons, and why is pizza so great? It's like you got vegetables.
I could geek on this one.
Okay.
It's all of those things that I've talked about. Depending on what you put on it, and the ranch thing. I agree with you too. A bottle of ranch is no good.
Doesn't work.
No, I'm saying ranch combination with pizza. That's a totally Reedley thing, by the way.
You know what? I never knew it until I went to college in Oregon. I had never done it, and until I went away.
I did it in Orange County.
Late 80s, early 90s graduate? What?
95 graduate.
Yeah,
so,
see, that makes sense because I was an 86 graduate, 86, 87, and it had just started, and half the kids were like, we love it, and half the kids were like, this is ridiculously stupid.
It was never a thing in my house growing up. Okay. I never knew it.
But it's the pepperoni. So, tell them the combo, why it works.
Yeah, so it's all of those things of the sweet, salt, acid, fat, all of those things.
So what's the sweet component? The tomato?
Yeah,
Tomatoes?
it could be in the tomato. It could be in
even the dough.
Yeah, it could be in the dough.
Cases.
There's a little bit of sugar in the dough. There's that. There's also something about like not eating with a knife and fork.
Absolutely.
A handheld.
It's tribal. It's primitive. Yeah.
It's sensory. It's sensory. There's texture to it if it's done right. I mean, it has to be the right type of pizza, the right ingredients, the right balance of all of it.
We were at Nesso's yesterday, and the pizza I love the pizza at Nesso's. And my brother John, you talk about eating by hand. No, he'll peel off the pepperoni, and then he takes a fork and he scrapes off the top of it. So he eats his pizza with a fork. Yeah.
So that's what I love about it. I think I'm not really one for eating with my hands. I'm one for convenience because being a chef for 28 years, I'm busy. I'm used to eating standing up, or laying down, halfway on the couch.
But it's the pepperoni pizza. It's not like I figured a guy like you would be like, oh no, the pizza margherita or something like that.
No, tell him the standard your go-to.
No, pepperoni, fresh mushroom, and olive.
And then sausage and the bell pepper and the onion.
Fennel sausage,
if
I love.
I was going to have my last one, it'd be pepperoni, mushroom, and olive.
Your last meal?
Yeah, and those with ranch. Yeah, and all those ingredients, they do all those different things. They check all those boxes of what I want in a complete flavor in my mouth that's going to continue to carry. You have the earthiness of the mushrooms, brininess of olives, the salty cure of a cured meat. There's
by the way, if you say the word umami, I'm going to reach over and tell you get the hell out of here.
No, I don't do that.
That drives me insane. This new word of umami.
That umami, umami stuff, and You can have your umamis and your foams and your powders and your molecular BS and all that stuff. You can have all that.
All the kids say and they have no idea what it means.
Just want balance.
You like balance.
Yeah, it's just balance.
See,
it has to.
If something's fighting, if something's taking over, and all the ingredients aren't playing off each other on your palate, in your nose, if you're not tasting something in the correct way, and to me, in which I'm tried to create it, like I won't create something that is your last impression of it's going to be acid, or it's going to be salt, or it's going to be sugar. Or
it's weird because balance to me, it may be different than balance to you, because growing up Greek, I mean, I'm telling you, the more lemon, the better. In the morning, we would take a piece of plain bread, Marcella, and we would just pour red wine vinegar on it, and we would eat that. I love Tabasco sauce because of the vinegariness of it, and I just love all that kind of stuff.
The high acid.
Yeah, so in some respects, it's like out of balance is sort of what I crave in many respects. Am I not refined?
No, I don't think
it's what's familiar to you.
Because my Middle Eastern background too, there's a lot of high acid in that too. Middle Eastern food. So it was a lot of red wine vinegar. It was a lot of lemon juice.
Right.
But there were also things to balance that out. Whether it was hummus or whether it was the lebni, which is yogurt, which could still be high in acid, but there's fat to tame that down. And we forgot to mention on the show. It's interesting because when I was talking about grandmother cooking and a pinch of this and a pinch of that, I mean, for you to develop that, I kept on thinking to myself, and this is, folks, it's going to be completely wrong for me to say this, okay? But I thought, well, how does that come from a family named Jackson? Because, and it's maybe selfish of me to think being Mediterranean, but I always think hardcore ethnic, even though, there's ethnic British and German and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't usually have that sense of how much oregano? Oh, how much? A handful, or a pinch of this, or a pinch of that. And so you had, which side was the Lebanese side? Mom? Dad? That's mom's side.
Okay.
Mom's side. And dad's side cooked a ton too. So grandmother on the white oaky side also did that
he
too.
said it for me, right? I was going to say it too.
So I kind of had, I had both. So,
but was she cooking more traditional white oaky type food?
Best macaroni salad I've ever had in my life.
Right. Yeah, my mom wouldn't have that. No,
right.
But it's interesting.
And mom's side of the family, the ethnic side of the family, that was all just, and of course, being a farmer's wife, right? That was my grandmother, the farmer's wife. She would throw things together very quickly.
Right.
So it wasn't like she was just this amazing home cook. My memories of her were the traditional Lebanese dinner that we would get at Christmas time, where they blew it up and just had everything.
Yeah.
Which we still do, by the way.
Yeah, I still do that.
Oh, that's great.
In her
I still
honor.
do that every year. Yeah.
I'm not coming to the restaurant. I'm coming to your house for Lebanese
we
Christmas.
have plenty of friends that mostly are kids that kind of show up.
I have all my mom's recipes, but the whole older generation is gone, and so I've done a few things, but I've been meaning to just on a regular basis just pull out those old recipes and do it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was, I like to think I got exposed to, two different worlds of cuisine, that kind of old world from scratch stuff, and then kind of the 1950s mom growing up,
absolutely
throwing things together like semi-homemade and making things. So I got exposed to it, but it wasn't like I was in the kitchen, doing it myself or working with them. And that was like 14 years old. I kind of figured out I wanted to cook a little.
I had a neighbor that gave us apricots, and man, these were some of the greatest apricots I ever had. And but she gave me so many, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I call my friends and I say, and this was just a couple weeks ago, I said, come on, we're going to have apricots and I'm going to get pork loin. And so I grilled the pork loin, but I took the apricots and I grilled them. And half of them I served whole on the plate on the side, and the other half I made, like an emulsion or whatever, or not tapenade. I'm
relish?
Compote?
Yeah, relish.
Relish,
Nice.
compote,
yeah, compote, right. And they're just like, how do you do that? There was the same thing with another couple in Cabo. The wife and husband never cook. They go out to eat every single night of their life.
Wow.
And they asked me why I wanted a spray can of Pam. And I'm going to cook something on the grill, and I was just going to do a little Pam or a little, or I said, give me a little olive oil or whatever. They had none of that stuff. And you sit there and you go, God, I just can't imagine not having a little bit of that talent, not experimenting, not having fun, not throwing things together at the last minute and having these wonderful meals come out. But I guess it's an art form, right?
Yeah. It's sort of like any pro at something, like an artist.
You guys had
they just know what to do. They know what these ingredients do. They know what this color is going to do.
Right.
They know what this texture is going to do. So they have an idea of what the result is, and then they fine tune it.
But it's something built in also. Like you had the cooking classes and stuff like that. But there's people that just they'll never get it, or what?
Probably, or just don't want to think about it as much.
Too busy. I mean, one of his sisters does not really cook.
Yeah.
I mean, and she's just so busy. Her and her husband are so busy. They don't cook a lot.
Yeah.
They cook more now because they've got 2 young kids. But you're just and actually that's why it even started for me. I wanted to take the recreational classes because I didn't care to cook and I wanted to learn how. I was raised with my mom, a single parent, working late, and so I didn't really know how to, I just didn't have the skills for it.
Do you have now, and it may be related to your love for your husband and stuff like that, do you have a true love of cooking now?
No, I don't.
That wasn't the answer I expected.
I know.
Do you have a true love of Ryan, though? Of course.
Yes,
So thank you.
But in all honesty, you're asking me that question today.
Yeah.
But, there have been probably more years than not that I did enjoy it on a regular basis because my lifestyle rendered more time for it too.
Right.
Whereas, honestly, I think it's been since COVID that I've really I've kind of slipped a lot, and I've not been as often and not as good.
Right.
The restaurant's closed Monday, Tuesdays. We're open Wednesday through Sunday, and so on Monday and Tuesday, he's now been actually cooking again at night. So I think it just depends on like where we are. But yes, I and with my own willing to and wanting to learn how to cook and learning the fundamentals, the techniques of things before I met him, and then getting in the business and learning more once we got connected. I learned even more, and being together over 20 years now, it's like now I have all sorts, down to little things like, when you go out to eat and you don't know what you want to order, and you're just all over, you're like, well, this sounds good and that sounds good and this sounds good. You know what he taught me? He says, just ask yourself these questions.
Okay.
Do you want something hot? Do you want something cold? Do you want a hold something, or do you want a knife and fork something? And chances are that's going to guide you at least to, or narrow down where you want to land.
My brothers and me, I would say yes to all of it, though. Right. I mean, literally, I have to order.
I challenge you next time you're out. I want you to do that.
I've never thought about that. I usually tell, okay, you get this, even with my guy friends. It's like, and we're going to split it all up. Yeah.
Sure.
So, okay. All right. I have to I have to now be a lawyer and go talk on the radio for a pretty heavy duty case.
Now.
I got to be serious now. So, all right,
this
guys.
This is fun.
Thanks for the bonus tracks.
That was fun.
I have a buddy that we're planning dinner on Friday at one of my favorite places, Vinny Vici's, and I'm tempted to say let's switch, but I love Vinny's, so I'm going to see him at Vinny's, and I will take him somewhere else. To your place on some other day.
We'll be there next month too.
All right, sounds great.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
All right.